Welcome to Monday Morning Moments. I'm Mike Van Hoozer. Today, I wanted to talk to you about reflection about this past year and preparing for the new year. We're not quite to the end of this year yet, but I think it's a great opportunity as you think about some of the things that have happened over this past year and as you prepare goals for the new year. There's some things I want you to think about and want to offer to you that might be helpful. Also, we're going to be putting together a compilation of kind of the best of Monday morning moments over the past year and some of the clips that I think were highlights of this past year and hopefully were helpful to you if you've listened to the podcast. And if you didn't catch each and every one, this will be kind of a best of compilation that you'll be able to hit the highlights and then maybe dive into some of those podcasts. And we'll be releasing that in the next week or two. But I think there are a couple of R's that I want to give you. It'd be easy to remember as far as your annual debrief of this year. And if you don't have a rhythm of going through a debrief of the past year, if you just kind of launch into the next year with some goals, or maybe you don't have goals, this can give you an opportunity to have a rhythm of reflecting on the past year. And then it'll help you prepare for goals and going into the new year as well. So, the first R is reflect, and I want you to be thinking about that, and I think it's a helpful tool. I've used this every year as I go into a new year, is to reflect on what's happened over the past year. And in reflecting on that, you're trying to gain insight and clarity and learning, not to say, well, that moment happened, I hated that, so I don't even want to think about that, or, yeah, that was a good moment, but I've moved on from that. It's really important to think about all the moments that happened over this past year and some of the key highlights that happened and what were some of the lessons learned from this past year. How did you grow? I think when we also think about lessons learned, we tend to think about negative things. When I talk about learning from the past and a lot of the talks I do, people often think about a past as a past moment that wasn't good. But we need to reflect on those things that were good and were accomplishments and that we're grateful for, and to learn from those moments. And every moment counts in developing the person who we're becoming each and every year. And so reflection is an important thing. And so, again, you don't have to make this process longer than it needs to be, but I think it's important that you write down some key reflections of highlights, things you're grateful for, people that you've made an impact in their lives, people who've made an impact in your life. What were some accomplishments you're most grateful for? What are some things that you've learned about yourself over this past year? And then what were some moments that maybe weren't your best, but you learned from and that you redirected in a certain way? And so reflection is really key. And I think as you think about this past year, take some time to reflect on the moments that mattered for you this year and helped you become the person you are right now and are continuing to become into the new year. I think another thing is renewal. I think a lot of times that we need to renew. Basically, that's just taking stock of who we are and maybe leaning into that more. As we think about some things over this past year, it helps us to say, yeah, when I'm doing that, then I'm at my best, or that's the sweet spot of my strengths. And when you think about some of those moments and some of those things, it helps you to renew about, I need to double down on that. I need to renew who I am and play to those strengths, not only now and finishing out this year strong, but also going into the new year. Renewal is also about a time of just refocusing on who you are and, those things that are so important to you, and renewing a renewed interest and passion and purpose around the things that are most important. As we say, making the most of those moments and focusing on what matters most. And renewal is about that. Maybe it involves a refocusing. Maybe you do need to refocus. I mentioned that earlier, but maybe your focus has been on a certain area, but you need to refocus on certain things. You've gotten away from certain things. Maybe it's a goal. You just totally got away from that. You set that as a goal, but it really, you got away from it. Priorities changed, things like that. And maybe it's a refocusing of those things you need to focus on for the new year. And so what are those areas of refocusing that you need to think about? Recharging is key. And I like to try to take some time, downtime during the end of the year and make sure that I'm recharging. And we can just go and live a hurried lifestyle. But I don't think God is called to live us a hurried lifestyle. He wants us to live a purposeful life. And that's really important that we don't hurry, but that we get away from hurry and that we recharge. And you may have been running pretty hard, maybe towards some purposeful things that have been great things, but take some time to recharge at the end of the year. Don't just put it on 100 and just keep going until the end of the year. Make sure that you're recharging so that you can come into the new year with a renewed sense of purpose and passion and strength, and that you've gotten proper rest during that time as well. So refocusing, renewing, recharging, reflecting, all of these R's can help you in going into the new year and preparing for that, but being grateful for what's happened in this past year. And take time to make categories for that, and then think about things that you're going to do to recharge, maybe to refocus, to renew, and also to reflect on. And that will be a great exercise as you think about this past year, and then give you some things to think about as you focus on what are your goals for the new year. And we'll be dropping some things as far as resources about how to develop goals, and the process that I use and the process that we teach. So look for that, and look for that on our website, and we'll be dropping podcasts about that too. But this is a time to reflect and a time to take charge and think about the things that have happened this year and who you're becoming in the process. That's so, so important. Beyond any goals that we accomplish, it's who are we becoming in the process, and are we living to the purpose that God has created for us? And if we're not, it's a time to take stock in that and make sure that we're focusing on the things that matter most. And as always, that we're making the most of the moments in our life.